Dead deer removal, New Jersey. Yes, dead deer removal, New Jersey. And I'm Paulie over here in the Plush Garden State, New Jersey. And we're going to be discussing dead deer removal done right, folks. CWD is a disease, chronic waste disposal. And folks, if I could tell you right from the get-go, right out of the gate, how important it is to have any deer, whether it be on your residential property or commercial, how to have it done professionally. Why is that? When the deer, whether it be a doe, a buck, a little fawn, when it is decomposing, during that procedure, if it's not done correctly, and if you leave any of those remains on your property, if that deer has CWD, it can last for decades. For decades, folks. You need to have it done professionally. When we even approach the deer, we suit up, we spray before us. We also sanitize, disinfect, and deodorize with a refreshing eucalyptus that makes your property smell great. You need to spray for chiggers, ticks, Lyme's disease. Folks, we've been doing this in New Jersey. We're the first company who brought out a professional way of disposing deer in 1995. Yes, I'm showing my age, 21 forever. But folks, it's imperative to have it done professionally. I'm going to show you a conversation between two professionals at the MO Conservation, and they're discussing this matter, and let's get right into it.
Disease to a new area. So, really, I think the big question I think a lot of people would want to know is how long does CWD stay with a deer if it is positive? I mean, if a deer is harvested and we get all the meat off of it and we just leave it where it lays there. So tell us a little bit about how long does CWD, if it is positive, how long would it stay there, and why would moving parts to another area spread CWD? Does the disease always stay with that, or why is that?
Yeah, so the highest concentration of the infectious prions that causes disease are going to be in the central nervous system, brain, and spinal column. And the agent that causes CWD, the misfolded prion protein, is really hard to degrade. And so it can remain infectious in the environment for probably decades. So if you've got parts of a deer that you're not using and you dispose of them on the landscape, those infectious prions are going to be there for a long time. And they're going to leach into the soil. They can be uptaken by plants. And so it's not as if they're disintegrating or disappearing quickly. They are there for a long time. So any deer that would come into contact with that carcass, or even long after that carcass is gone, come in contact with the soil or the plants that are growing there, could spread the disease.
So to help us, kind of what we're getting at, how can hunters help us manage the spread of this disease?
Yeah, so one of the way this disease can spread is through the inadvertent actions of hunters that just are unaware of the carcass transport regulations that we have in the CWD management zone, or unaware of the proper way to dispose of a carcass. So I always tell folks, if you're processing a deer, take the parts to a certified landfill, get them in the trash. That way you know they're not out there on the landscape if that deer happens to be positive. And then, as we talked about, if you can't do that, bury them so that they're not laying there on the ground. And then worst case scenario, if you have no other options, at least leave them there where you harvested the deer, and do not transport those parts to a different area and leave them out on the landscape.
Real quick to wrap it up, say I harvest a deer and I want to get my deer sampled for CWD. What would you recommend? Bringing the whole carcass to get sampled? Taking it, because we know it's the neck, but would you encourage them just to bring the neck and the head? What would you recommend that's probably the best thing to do for that?
It depends a little bit on where they live in the state in terms of what their options are going to be for sampling. They could do either. We have a number of voluntary sampling opportunities located throughout the state.
Yes, folks, and that is the conversation that I was listening to earlier. Again, the importance of having it done professionally, especially if you have children, folks. See, when that deer is laying on your landscape right away in decomposing procedure as it decomposes. And by the way, just as a footnote, when the deer hooves are closed, we consider that fresh meat, venison. You know, venison's quite expensive. I think the last I heard was $5 to $7 per pound. Oh, that was back in the day. Could be more today, 2025. But when the deer hooves are closed, it's fresh meat, fresh venison. As it decomposes, the hooves, the legs start spreading open, and usually after 3 hours, it becomes poison. Now, I'm not a big advocate of game when it goes out, those hunters shooting deer. I'm not a big fan of shooting deer for game. I think it's terrible. But when it comes to doing that, I'm actually have a deer call now in Chatham. My guys are calling me, excuse me. But when it comes to doing it professionally and it becomes poison, you need to understand that it's within hours that it starts becoming toxic, highly toxic. You want to sanitize, disinfect, deodorize, spray professionally a chemical that we use that will disintegrate, make all those chiggers and ticks disappear on your landscape. And it's a low toxicity chemical, children and pets safe. You want it done, folks, especially for the children. So we actually serve the entire state of New Jersey. You can see us on Facebook. You can see us all over, folks. And we want to give you a 5-star service. If you go over to the Google Maps, you'll see us All Starr over here. We do have a 5-star service, and compared to our competitors over the years, but you want to make sure you do it professionally. Folks, I have actually been doing this since the 90s, and I did contract Lyme's disease. Yes, unfortunately I did. I was bitten by 2 ticks on the back of my right lower thigh, and I didn't get it in time. Went to the doctor. Folks, you always feel sleepy. It's just a terrible thing to have Lyme's disease. So folks, please make sure you do it professionally. In the Morris County area in 2017, Animal Control was telling the residents to drag the deer to the curb, folks. That's the last thing you want to do. Animal Control, I'm not here to bash Animal Control. I got compassion for them because they would need a fleet of trucks today in order to accommodate the residents here in the Garden State. So, folks, please ensure that you call a private service. You can give us a call. Our phone number for Northern New Jersey is 862-658-2086. You'll see those numbers in the description. For Central Jersey and the Jersey Shore, 732-600-1974. And we were actually at a fell player via internet. Let me see if I can get it for you. And this is Victor Cruz, NFL player with the Giants, but he lives in Totowa, New Jersey. NFL player Victor Cruz, dead deer removal. Yes. And let's go to him right now.
This is my man Victor Cruz. He had a dead deer that we just took care of. What do you think, Vic?
He took care of me, man. Top-notch service. Make sure you holler at these good folks, man. New Jersey Pest Control. Peace.
God bless. My man Victor Cruz.
And that is him, folks. Yes, thank you, Mr. Victor Cruz, for that wonderful review. So, folks, give us a call today. Let's get rid of that deer professionally. Forget about CWD. We're not going to get that chronic waste disposal on our property, right? Again, Northern New Jersey, 862-658-206. For Central Jersey and the Jersey Shore, that number is 732-600-1974. And I'll tell you what, tell me you saw Paulie on YouTube, and we'll give you $50 off that dead deer removal procedure. Thank you very much for your time. Make it a great day and a great evening. And as always, God bless.